Hi there. Welcome to Up Close and Unplugged, presented by the Indian Music Experience. I can see a few viewers joining, and fingers crossed that this broadcast is going to be okay because this is the first time we have an interactive online session that's being streamed live to Facebook. And we are so happy to be doing this because the Indian Music Experience Museum, as some of you may know, is India's first interactive music museum. And as part of our public programming, one of our very successful programming series is the Up Close and Unplugged series, where we invite an award-winning famous artist to sit down with us, have a bit of a chat, and also share some of their brilliant music with us. So, who do we have with us today? I don't think he needs much of an introduction. I'm sure many of you would have heard his music, but for formality's sake, I'll give a little bit of an introduction. There are very few people in the entire realm of music who are so closely identified with the instrument they play that the instrument becomes a prefix to their name. And I can give you a few examples like Mandolin Srinivas, or in Karnataka, we've had T. Chaudaya, who was known as Pitilu, Fiddle Chaudaya. And this artist is one of those people whose name has been so synonymous with the guitar that it's become a prefix to his name. He's a pioneer of the Carnatic guitar, but he has left no genre untouched, from jazz to pop to R&B to rock, you name it. He has really excelled at so many different genres. Music is, of course, what he does, but he's also academically gifted, which makes me definitely more convinced that music and academics have a lot in common. So he's an IIT graduate. He's a graduate from Berkeley College. He's come out with 16 albums. He's composed for films, including the award-winning, Oscar-winning Smile Pinky. He's a serial collaborator who's collaborated with some of the who's who in the entire world of music, not just in India, but around the world. He's an educator. He's set up the Swarna Bhumi College and also guru to scores of young upcoming guitar players. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Guitar Prasanna. Prasanna, welcome to Up Close and Unplugged.
Thank you so much, Manasi. Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure to have you here. So I'm going to go on and ask you about the fact that you are a person of many eclectic tastes. You, of course, trained very seriously in Carnatic music with some legendary gurus. You've also learned the guitar for a long time. And you've dabbled in so many genres. And now, of course, you're a master of many of them. How do you view all these genres? Do you see them as being separate from each other? Do you wear your Carnatic hat when you're playing Carnatic music and your jazz hat when you're playing jazz music? Or do you see music as a whole? I'd like your perspective on that. And maybe you can demonstrate a little. I don't know.
Well, I was wearing those hats in what I call the apprenticeship phrase. I use that phrase to explain the difference between the time that you spent on your craft, where you learn things. It's like going to school, going to college, and then there's the phase where you live life, right? So you live all the experiences that you've gained and all the education that you've got, and you try to put it in place, but you can't do it in a contrived way. So that's the living phase. It's not very different from us taking about 20, 25 years to study, from preschool to college to master's degree to whatever it is. And then we start creating a life of our own, creating a family of our own, trying to wade through life and see how all these things connect. So it's the exact same thing here. To study jazz, I have to put the jazz hat at some point, maybe drop the Carnatic hat so that I could get into what jazz is for what it is and not try to all the time look at it from Carnatic music. and vice versa. And I don't think it is really that difficult. I think it comes from passion and love for music itself. And it comes from a simple place where you're humble towards music, and you are eager and hungry to learn and to adapt. I think it's a much more of a broad-based perspective than the idea of genres. Therefore, from the beginning, I was like that. From the beginning, I was eclectic in what I was listening to, what I wanted to play. But there was only one constant, and that constant happened to be guitar. I do play a few other instruments. I play the piano, I play drums, I play bass, I compose a lot. Therefore, I have to know a lot about, violin, trombone, viola, whatever it is. But the guitar is been my voice of expression for many years. And the fact that the guitar itself straddles so many styles of music across so many cultures automatically makes it possible for me to do many things with guitar as my focal point. And I guess I should give the credit to guitar instead of me.
That's a great way of looking at it. You're right that the guitar and its family has had applications across so many different musical cultures, that in a way does bring many influences together. Talking about influences, and this is something that we often ask a lot of artists, because one of the reasons why we do this series is because the journey of music is reflected in the journey of music makers, and artists are conduits for the transmission of music from the people who influence them to the people that they in turn influence. So, I've read about, and of course, I've heard a lot of influences in your music from, of course, the Carnatic side, all the greats, and, Mandolin Srinivas, and all those people, and, up to, Dire Straits and Jimi Hendrix, and the entire spectrum, and so many more. So I wanted to ask you, and especially from a student's perspective again, how does one go about taking all these influences, yet developing your own voice?
That's a great question. And it's at one level, it's a simple question. And at another level, that's a profound question. I'll tell you why it's simple. Because we anyway are our own selves, right? I don't think any two people do anything exactly the same way. And I think from the beginning, we are told that we are an individual and we have developed our own voice in such in a simple way, just like my voice when I speak is different from your voice or somebody else's voice. Your voice is different from somebody else's voice. So in a simple way, we can be reassured that we already have our own voice. Mm-hmm. Therefore, you just have to give in to that and just absorb everything, and it will anyway come out as your own voice. Now, the profound part of your question is that most of us get sidetracked into the smaller details, the smaller picture. We are not really looking at the big picture. The big picture is that you're an artist. You express yourself through art. Therefore, you find a medium, which is your instrument or which is your composing or whatever it is, and you express yourself through that. That's the big picture. And as long as you express yourself, as long as your commitment to yourself and to your audiences is to express yourself and bring a personalized experience to them, you already have your own voice. But if you're sitting and getting frustrated, oh my God, I play this, I'm not able to play that. If I play that, maybe I'll make more money. Or if I don't play fusion music, I cannot survive in the classical world. If you start complicating things, instead of just being yourself and absorbing everything, the world is a great place to teach you what to do, because today we are living in an age where everything is accessible to us. So the real answer is just jump in, have fun, take everything in. You have only one life, explore.
That's great. And I see a little bit of your analytical mindset also that comes through, when you sort of talk through these answers, because I think there's been, in addition to the great artist intuition, there's also been a lot of analysis that's gone into your process of developing your own voice. So I'm going to ask you one thing here, and I'm also going to ask the our viewers one thing. For our viewers, this is your opportunity to ask the one and only Prasanna a question. So if there's a student from our learning center or anybody else out there who wants to ask a question, you can leave a comment and I will ask your question to Prasanna. And for you, I wanted to ask you if it's possible for you to demonstrate this sort of gamut of genres in a way. I don't know, a raga and how you would sort of treat it maybe differently in another style or something like that. Could we ask you to play a little bit?
Absolutely, I'm happy to do that. You can give me an example. Okay, right now I'm in Carnatic tuning, but well, I'll stick to this tuning for now. Give me an example of 3 songs.
3 songs? Can I give you ragas? Or do you want a song? Okay, I'll give you, say, my favorite raga is Riti Gaula. So for now, I mean, like every, artists go through different phases. Right now, I'm in a Riti Gaula phase. So I would like to hear some from you. And I don't know, transition to say like a Hamsadhwani. And I don't know, end up in maybe a mode from, am I asking too much? Like I don't know, a minor sort of mode from Western music.
Okay, I was thinking something even more radical.
Okay.
Okay, so how about I go from Riti Gaula to a Beatles song to Michael Jackson song or something like that.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so the thing is, I wanted to show that it's an expression of who you are, right? So that's what I do. I do for a living. I express myself for a living. The fact that I'm a musician is a part of that, but my profession is expressing myself for a living. So if I see this instrument in front of me, and if I start playing, I just let my mind wander and I arrive at a few things.
Okay.
So let's see where it goes. I will start with Riti Gaula and we will go somewhere and come back. But what is the other raga that you said? Hamsadhwani, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I just threw it out there. But go with it. I think your idea of going from Riti Gaula to Beatles is quite radical.
I may not do exactly what I said, but I hope what I do answers the question.
Wow. Hmm. Absolutely brilliant. You
I
know,
don't know,
when
but I just in case, if- so I played Riti Gowda in Ragam, and then I moved slowly into Karahara Priya, which is the
yes,
basic of Riti Gowda. And then I moved into the bridge section of the Beatles song Norwegian Wood,
yes.
which is based in the scale of Karahara Priya. And then I came to Hamsadvani, as you asked. And from Hamsadvani, I took a slightly different route and went to Michael Jackson's Human Nature.
Hmm.
And I went back to the beginning part of Norwegian Wood, which was more in Harikamboji scale, and came back to Riti Gowda, something like
Hmm.
that.
That's amazing. And you know what strikes me is music has the ability to make you travel to different places without leaving your physical location. And I think
Sure,
that's so relevant at a time like this, right? Because we are all having to depend on virtual tours. So all of you out there who are thirsting for a journey to different lands, all you need to do is listen to music and music like this.
and
But
since you mentioned that very appropriately, I'd like to state that the way I see music performance, a concert, for example, is that I should take people on a road trip, right? I should show them mountains, valleys, oceans, deserts, beaches, and bring them back home safely. So it's not very different from a Harry Potter movie. It's not very different from Lord of the Rings. It's not very different from any of those animation movies, right? Why do we go to a movie theater and lock ourselves up in a dark room for 2 hours, right? So that the director and the crew of the film can take you to for an experience, right? Especially a fantasy experience. That's why kids love fantasy movies, right? And playing music should be about that. It should not be about ragas. It should not be about style. It should not be about what is this. Yes, it can come inside a particular style, but that's not important. So coming back to it, I think that clarity has taken me some time to find for myself. And once I found that, wow, it's just magic. I can just go from here to there and have fun and take people along with me for a ride. That's my philosophy.
well, I think you said it the best, and I strongly believe that great musicians are good storytellers. Ultimately, that's what they do, and requests are just pouring in, of course, for all your famous compositions. From Electric Ganesha Land, Bowling for Peace, Peaceful, Heartbreaker. Everything's pouring in, but let's leave that for a little bit because I did want to try and squeeze a few more questions in because. As all our viewers know, it's not every day that we can get to sit down and chat with an artist. You can hear them play, but to understand what goes on in their minds is a different thing altogether. We were talking about influences, and you've influenced, I think, a whole range of people who are and continue to come. Not just your own students, but of course, the phenomenon of playing Carnatic music on the guitar, which I think in many ways you pioneered, has now found expression not just on the Carnatic music platform, but also in the entire genre of independent rock music. Be it people like Praveen Kumar from Agam or Baiju from. So all these bands have now found a way to meld Carnatic sounds into their music. So I wanted to ask you a couple of things around that. And so, where do you see sort of the place of the guitar in the entire scheme of independent and new music that's coming out of India today? And secondly, I don't know, but do you feel in some ways that you were ahead of your time, or is that the pitfall of being a pioneer?
I'll answer the second question first. In my opinion, nobody is ahead of their time. Everybody is an absolute product of their time. I say this because a lot of the people that I always thought Bach was ahead of his time. I always thought Dikshita was ahead of his time. I always thought John Coltrane was. I always thought Ilayaraja was. And then on deeper, once I started knowing a little bit more about music and how these pioneering artists, not just these, a lot more, think, I realized that they would not be doing what they're doing if they were not part of that time. And there is a very, very clear routing to the time that actually happens. So I don't think I'm ahead of time in any way. I'm just here at this particular time, just being blessed to be able to do what I do and to make a contribution.
Yeah, in a
Sorry.
sense, the whole independent rock music sort of has sort of exploded over, say, the past decade or so. And you started way back, maybe in the night. You started off when you were very young. So how do you see this whole, the guitar and independent rock, and how it's sort of become such an integral part, and the use of Carnatic idiom in it?
No, absolutely, and I think I'm very lucky in that sense that a lot of people count my work as their influences, and it's all over the world, from New Zealand to Argentina to so many places. There are people who play my songs in many places, and I've heard also a lot of major rock bands and metal bands, like very famous metal bands that I know. Many of them have been checking me out. I was very fortunate to give some lessons for Weasel Zappa, Frank Zappa's son, and a great, incredible guitar player and great musician. He found a YouTube video of me playing Carnatic music, and he wanted to study with me for some time. And I have been lucky to teach a lot of world-class musicians, many of them far more famous than I am, because not so much that they wanted to study with me, but I think the Carnatic music part of what I do is such a strong identity, and I'm so glad that people are embracing it. And there's the other part, especially with the Indian independent rock scene. I play in India very often. I play in Bangalore probably more than any other place. And I've been observing the young talents in India, and thankfully, due to Swarnabhumi Academy of Music, I have seen some of the most incredible talents from India and outside too come to the school, and I've seen firsthand how they do all these things. I think people are very smart now. People are very adaptive, and they're really going for it. And the new generation of India is doing stunning stuff at all levels. And they're all exploding with original ideas, exploding with, new, you talked about Agam. There's so many bands that are like doing so many incredible things that would not have been possible many years ago. And if I was some kind of a beacon light, I'm like truly honored. But I think it's not so much any one particular influence, just the fact that people are so open now, and the time is to be open has given us this awesome situation where you have great blending of music happening.
Yeah, that's great. And in many ways, of course, you've influenced so many people and continue to do so with the young students that you teach. So, I know we started a little late, so I hope we can have you play for us a little bit. So I know we can talk to you for a really long time, but I wanted to end with one question and then ask you to just play some music for us. So, at the IME, in addition to being India's first interactive music museum, this is a little mug, and we'll send you one once the lockdown is done. But the Indian Music Experience is India's first and only interactive music museum. And our vision is really to inspire young people and to be a springboard for the next generation of musicians, the next generation of music connoisseurs and supporters to just, be inspired by the entire diversity of music that exists in our country. And we have young students at the IME. We have about 150 students at the Learning Center who learn music in different disciplines. So I just wanted to ask you, if there were some, I know this is really bad to ask somebody top 3 of anything, but top 3 words of advice or tips or suggestions or one practice technique that you could give to all the youngsters out there. And then you
Um,
play, please. Yeah.
Before I get to that, firstly, I want to thank you for having me. And whatever I've come to know about the Indian Music Experience Museum is just gorgeous. It's lovely that there is something like that, and because of this session, I came to know about that, and I would like to come and see the museum when I'm in Bangalore next. And it reminded me of this beautiful museum where I perform a lot in New York, called the Rubin Museum, which is for Tibetan arts and all uh, Himalayan. I mean, and India, a big part of it. It has a lot of great interactive exhibits. So the fact that you're doing something like that for Indian music, it's fantastic, and I'm so excited to come and check it out when I'm there. And the fact that you have all these students, my my I don't know, I don't like to go on giving a lot of advice, um, but uh, but I think students, the only thing I can tell them is that just enjoy what you do. You don't have to do music for a living. Uh, if that is not an option for you, you can continue to learn, and you should go for excellence. And just the gift of playing music, giving music to your family, to your friends, and to the world at large is a tremendous feeling that you can take for your entire life. Therefore, focus as much on the music. Don't think about what you're going to do with it. Give yourself completely to it, surrender to it. You'll find a way out. I know lots of incredible musicians I play with who don't do music for a living, and they are
Mhm.
really world musicians. Um, and I also, of course, know a lot of people who do it for a living and do very well. And then there are some people who who are not able to do very well in spite of the fact that they're great musicians. All these challenges will come, and we can figure that out later in life. But when you're learning music, you have to forget all of those things and just surrender. I like to use the word surrender. So surrender to the music, surrender to the experience, and it will pay you back.
What a wonderful way to sort of end our conversation, but not end the session. So, before we move on to, maybe we can request you to do a little bit of a medley. I'll read out the request. It's up to you what you would like to play. Of course, everybody wants a medley because you do those so well. And, of course, just going Heartbreaker, Electric Ganesha, Land, Bowling for Peace, Idayanila, Thunga the Very Girl, whatever you feel like playing. But and we'll end on that musical note. But before we move on to that, just wanted to say thank you so much for having been part of this conversation with us. I think it's been really special, and we do hope to have the opportunity to have you play for us in person very soon, and hope that happens at the earliest. So, just wanted to say thanks to all of those who are tuning in, and I'm sure many more will listen to this conversation in the days to come. And over to you, Prasanna.
Thank you, Manasi, and thanks to everybody who's tuned in, watching, and thanks to all the fans who are asking for all this stuff. And yeah, I mean, I love interacting with people. I love sharing my music with people. So I'm grateful for this experience, and I want to thank Sarayu for making this happen. My
Yes.
agent, I believe you guys have been in touch for a while. So thank you all around. And well, the most important message is to stay safe, stay indoors, and let's beat this whole thing together. And if music is a healing force, let's just embrace it. So yeah, I'll see if I can bring some of those requests in. Let's see. Um, okay.
Absolutely brilliant. It was
Thank you.
quite, such a beautiful summary of your entire musical journey. And thank you so much for sharing it with us. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, wherever you are, please give a round of applause to the wonderful Guitar Prasanna. We'll be signing off now. Before that, I just wanted to let you know that we're doing one online engagement every week. We have storytelling sessions, we have sound healing, we have, of course, concerts, we have a musical quiz that's going to come up very shortly. So keep tuning in to our page, and I'm sure there's plenty of stuff waiting out there for you. So stay safe, stay healthy, and signing off. Bye bye.
Thank you, Manasi. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.